Caribbean cruise will become the biggest party in poker as these 6 players battle over $1 million prize pool. 2 Las Vegas gamblers and 4 online amateurs are sailing into a storm, and the party is about to begin.
In the middle of the Caribbean, there's a treasure on the high seas. Next on the World Poker Tour.
The World Poker Tour is a series of international poker tournaments featuring the biggest games, the greatest players, and the largest payouts on the planet. Tonight, we're on board the luxury liner MS Zandam for the finals of the Party Poker Million 2. 177 players started this tournament by qualifying online or by putting up $5,500 in cold hard cash. Now, only 6 players are left to fight over the $1 million prize pool and the ultimate party favor, a coveted entry in the WPT Championship, a season-ending Las Vegas shootout worth millions. Now, down to the WPT arena for the call of the action with poker expert Mike Sexton and Hollywood home game ace Vince Van Patten.
Hi everyone, welcome to the World Poker Tour. I'm Mike Sexton along with Vince Van Patten, and we are on Holland America's MS Zandam for the finals of the Party Poker Million 2. Vince, championship poker on the high seas. It just doesn't get much better than this.
Oh, you're right, Mike. Gone are the days of the smoke-filled backroom poker games at the pool hall. Here we are in a packed showroom of a luxurious cruise ship. It is truly amazing with the final 6 of the Party Poker Million 2. And Mike, this is quite a unique event.
Vince, it really is unique. 1, we're on a ship. Number 2, the prize pool's over $1 million. Number 3, we had more entrants in this tournament than any venue on the World Poker Tour this season. And number 4, today's game is Limit Hold'em, which should create more action.
So, Mike, they're about to shuffle up and deal. Let's go down there and meet these dynamic players.
Our current chip leader is a guy named Chip Jett. Now, what a poker name that is. Chip is a professional player from Scottsdale, Arizona. He's starting out today with $303,000 in chips.
Okay, the second guy you're going to see is a man we've seen on the World Poker Tour before. He won at Foxwoods just a couple of weeks ago. Used to be a chess champion. Howard Lederer has $227,000 worth of chips.
In third chip position is Maureen Ferduniak with $167,000 worth of chips. Maureen's hobbies are poker and ballroom dancing. Her and her husband Bob both qualified online to get in this tournament. And Vince, if you'll remember, 1 year ago, Kathy Liebert won the inaugural Party Poker Million. And now, will Maureen make it 2 in a row for the ladies?
I don't know, but I'll tell you something. This next story is amazing. Fourth chip position right now is a guy that went online with $1. He parlayed it into 3 different tournaments, got into this. He's at the final 6 table. He's got $85,000 worth of chips. It's a miracle story, and his name is Tim Lark.
In fifth chip position is a guy named Dan Coupel from Saskatoon, Canada. Dan is the youngest player to enter this tournament this year. He's a 21-year-old law student. He's starting out today with $77,000 in chips.
Okay, and our short stack today is a man from San Diego. They call him the Cowboy because he looks like a cowboy. He's got the hat. You're going to love this guy. He's got only $28,000 worth of chips, but in poker, anything can happen.
Well, Vince, here we go. We're on the high seas for the biggest party in poker, the Party Poker Million 2.
We're playing Limit Hold'em, 8 and 16,000. It's going to be up to Cowboy Joe Simpkins to act first.
And what's so exciting is we get to see these players' cards.
Absolutely, Mike. We get into the minds of these great poker players, and it is a true thrill to see it.
And look at Cowboy, picks up a 7-5 offsuit and folds.
All right, Chip Jett is going to raise it up early, and he's got ace-9 of clubs.
Remember, Chip is the major chip leader here, and he's jetting into the first pot. But he's being called by Maureen Ferduniak.
Maureen Ferduniak's got a real hand, a pair of 6s wired. She's going to call this hand.
Dan Coupel folds a king-deuce offsuit. Howard folds a deuce-5. Tim Lark, a 3-8, and here we go.
Two-way action. Here comes the flop. Oh, that's going to help Chip Jett. He hit his pair of aces.
Now remember, Maureen just had 2 6s here.
He's swinging it out. He's betting already. He can bet 8,000, and that's what he does. And Maureen's going to go away. Simple as that.
There it is. The chip leader adds to his stack.
Nice little hit there. Hits his aces.
He jets farther out in front.
I think people would say I'm probably more of a gambler. I don't get too many thirds or fourths or seconds, so I usually win or go out in a blaze of glory.
$8,000 you can bet.
Well, limit poker means there's a set amount that you can bet, Vince, and you must bet that amount. You can't bet less and you can't bet more.
Right.
Let's have a little tutorial on how to play limit hold'em.
Now, Party Poker Million 2 is the one tournament on the World Poker Tour that plays limit hold'em, which is slightly different than the no-limit Texas hold'em we're used to seeing.
Well, Vince, the game is the same. Every player starts with 2 hole cards. There's then a round of betting. 3 community cards called the flop are now placed face up on the board.
After the flop, another round of betting comes. Then the 4th card. That's what we call the turn card. Then there's more betting. Then the final community card is flopped up. The river card lands on the board. One last round of bets. Hole cards get turned up, and the best hand rakes in the chips, and that is called Texas Hold'em.
Well, the change here is in how much you can bet at any one time. In limit poker, there is a set amount on the bet on each of the 4 rounds of betting. Before the flop and on the flop are the 2 lower limit betting rounds, and on the turn and the river card are the 2 larger limit betting rounds. Let's see which one of these 6 players is up to the task here today.
And it's going to be on Maureen Feduniak right now to act first. Maureen's got 4-7, junk hand. Now look at this. The young kid, Dan Coupel, has picked up a pair of jacks, and he's just calling, Mike.
Well, this is a bad play on his part, in my opinion. You better raise in limit poker and try to drive players out of the pot.
Well, Howard's out, Cowboy's out. Back to Chip Jet, who's got a 9-6 offsuit.
He checks. We're going to see a flop.
Here it comes.
Flop is 6-4 deuce. Now Chip has flopped the top pair.
He's going to bet his 8,000.
Dan Coupel, remember, has 2 jacks. He is the best hand right now. And Dan raises it to 16,000, and Chip calls.
Well, he's got that overpair. Dan has him in a good position here.
Let's see the turn card.
Okay, now look at this.
Another 6 comes off. Whoa, this is a home run here for Chip Jet.
And he's checking it. Dan's going to bet it. He's betting 16,000 right now. That is the limit. Now Chip Jet has 3 of a kind.
And he's raising.
Of course he is.
He's putting 32,000 out there.
Ooh-wee.
Whoa. Well, you can see right now, Vince, that Dan Coupel, by trying to trap and slow play his hand, has put himself in the trap here.
Well, you're right. He played it a little slow. And it came back to stab him here, but you never know. He could catch it on 5th Street. He's got a decision to make.
Well, remember, he only started the tournament with 77,000, and he folds his hand. What a laydown there by Dan Coupel.
That is a pretty good laydown.
Won the first 2 pots.
That's a good poker play.
Well, I think he's laying it down because he's aggravated. He didn't raise the pot to start with. Had he done so, he would have won the pot immediately, and he paid for that mistake right there by letting our chip leader gather more chips.
I've taken poker to the next level. There's lots of these pros that aren't well-rounded in their game. I see a lot of mistakes in some of these so-called excellent pros.
Chip Jet picks up the pot. He inherits the button this time.
Now, the button, you're going to be hearing a lot about the button in this tournament, is that little white hockey puck that moves around the table each hand. It tells the dealer where to start dealing.
And the 2 players to the left of the dealer button have force bets called blinds. The blinds make sure there is action and money in the pot on every hand.
Here we go with the next hand.
Well, you can see on Dan Coupel's face, he's not a very happy camper right now, Vince. Well, remember, he's only started with 77,000 in chips today, and he just doesn't have that kind of chips to be playing around, in my opinion.
Okay, it's going to be on Howard to act first. Howard Lederer, WPT champion. On Tim Lark, going out with 6 deuce.
Look at this. Cowboy Joe Simpkins has picked up a pair of queens. Lovely ladies.
Oh, now that is a huge hand.
And he raises it to 16,000. We see Chip fold on the button with a deuce-5 offsuit, and Marine folds a 3-7. And here comes Dan Coupel with ace-jack.
Yeah, well, ace-jack's a pretty strong hand. He's got to consider this.
Well, he's in the big blind, and he calls. Costs him another bet.
Here's the flop, and he's picked up his ace. But the Cowboys picked up 3 of a kind.
Yep. Dan Coupel heading for Whitewater here.
Dan betting Cowboys going to raise. And he's all in with that.
Please turn up your cards.
Oh, what a disaster for Dan Coupel.
He's virtually drawing dead. He's got to hit 2 runners here to win this pot.
Oh, he's got the aces, but Cowboy Joe Simpkins has 3 of a kind at this point. Here comes 4th Street.
Make it 4 of a kind.
Oh.
4 lovely ladies. Look at Dan Coupel's face.
Oh, boy, the Cowboy's going to do it to him. Here we go.
And it's a 7 on the last card. 4 queens for Cowboy.
Cowboy gets back on his horse.
No, you can't fault him for calling one more bet. Then ace come up. His opponent happened to flop 2 queens. Just tough luck for Dan Coupel right here. He is running into 2 brick walls back to back.
He's got his pair of jacks cracked. He's got his aces.
He's down to just a few thousand in chips now. But the Cowboys revived.
You know, by the way, I played against a lot of Cowboys. I've never seen a Cowboy lose when I'm at the table.
Hey.
So Dan Coupel on the ropes here, Mike. As we said in limit poker, the action is really fast. He is spinning out of control at this point.
Well, he's going to be all in the big blind right here for 5,000. Now, the big blind is supposed to be 8,000, but he doesn't have that much. So you can always play for the amount that you have.
It's going to be on Howard first. World Poker Tour champion at Foxwoods looks at his hand. He's got a king-jack, Mike. Pretty strong hand.
Yes, he has, and he's going to raise it. He's going to try to shut everybody out.
Tim Lark's got a queen-5. He's not going to play it.
And Joe Simpkins with a king-5. He's going to fold.
King-5 of clubs, too.
Chip Jet
Jet's going
folds.
out.
Marine folds, and it's Howard and the big blind.
Well, Dan needs this. He's on the ropes here.
Well, we have a king-jack against a 7-5, so Howard's a substantial favorite to win the pot. Let's see what happens on the flop here.
Don't forget, you got 2 cards in your hand, 5 in the middle to make your best 5 cards. Here we go. Here's the flop.
Flop comes Queen, Jack, 7.
Oh, man. They both flopped a pair.
And Dan is in big trouble now. He's going to have to catch a 7 or a 5. He's going to be our 6th-place finisher. It doesn't look good for Dan Coupel right now.
It's a 9. Nobody has a flush draw. 1 more card.
Here we go. Can he survive? No.
It's an
He doesn't
8.
do it.
Big round of
Dan
applause
Coupel
for
is
Dan
gone.
Coupel.
The 21-year-old law student is going back to the books, Vince.
Dan Coupel is going to have to go back and watch some Rounders tapes because this is not how it's supposed to be happening.
Well, you're right, Vince. It was a nice tournament for him, but his case is closed tonight.
I should have devoted all my chips when Chip came over the top of me on the turn, and it was a huge mistake, so I paid big.
Well, Vince, 1 down and 4 to go before we crown a champion. Stay tuned for more action on the high seas on the World Poker Tour.
Sheila, it's to you.
Does anyone like a Danish?